Subscribe to Northern Diaries and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified anytime I post a new video. I was going to post this video last week, but I was pretty depressed and I just didn't want to do it. This series is called Bite-Sized Philosophy, where I discuss, you guessed it, philosophy. Today we are going to talk about Rene Descartes, a 16th century French philosopher, and his revolutionary method of doubt. Even people who have no interest in philosophy would have heard Descartes' famous philosophical statement, "I think, therefore I am." His influence on philosophy is so immense that he is often referred to as the father of modern Western philosophy. Not only that, he also made incredible contributions to mathematics by inventing the Cartesian coordinate system, the foundation of analytical geometry. His invention influenced many branches of mathematics including differential geometry, calculus, linear algebra, and group theory. I have a question for you. Try to answer this as truthfully as possible. Name one thing that you know is true. The one thing that's not only beyond any reasonable doubt, but that's also beyond any possible doubt. There's an important distinction here. I'm asking you to name one thing that cannot be doubted. I know you might have several answers already. I had when I first came across Descartes' method of doubt. My answers ranged from the sky is blue to I stole a pencil from a stationery store when I was a kid. But consider this. Is the sky really blue? Okay, what is blue? Blue is a color. But what is color? Color is technically an illusion. What we experience as color is just the brain's way of making sense of the electromagnetic photons that collide with the photoreceptor array that is the retina in the human eye. It is manufactured by your brain. The color you see may not always be the same as the color someone else sees. As you can see, our senses constantly deceive us. From optical illusions, hallucinations to mental disorders, we are constantly being tricked. Our reality is fluid at best. Descartes, in his book Meditations on First Philosophy, systematically puts all of his beliefs to test. True knowledge, according to Descartes, is to know something beyond all doubt. So he sought to find that truth beyond all doubt and build his knowledge with that truth as the foundation. He opens his Meditations on First Philosophy like this. It is now some years since I detected how many were the false beliefs that I had from my earliest youth admitted as true, and how doubtful was everything I had since constructed on this basis. And from that time I was convinced that I must once for all seriously undertake to rid myself of all the opinions which I had formerly accepted and commence to build anew from the foundation if I wanted to establish any firm and permanent structure in the sciences. Then Descartes methodically deconstructs everything that's known to him. He begins this by discussing dreams. Let's say I am dreaming right now. I'm actually not sitting in front of my computer typing this sentence, but I'm only dreaming of typing this sentence. In my dream, it is convincing. So the information that my senses are feeding are not to be trusted. Descartes asks, how do you actually differentiate from such a convincing dream state and the reality? Once you wake up, you can figure out that you're dreaming, but not when you're dreaming. So what if I am dreaming right now? The problem is that it is always right now. So Descartes concludes that he can never trust his senses as they constantly deceive him. He then goes on to question the existence of an all-powerful benevolent God and then moves on to conceiving a deceiving evil genius that could possibly be simulating his whole reality. The best part of this book comes after this. After all the doubts and uncertainties, Descartes arrives at what he thinks is an undoubtable truth. He figures out that no matter how much he doubts the reality, the very fact that he is doubting means that there should exist a doubter. Using his method of doubt, Descartes finally finds the one certain truth, which is that he exists as a thinking thing. Whether there's a physical world or not, he cannot doubt he exists. This is the foundation on which he plans to build his knowledge. One of my favorite sections of this book reads, "But there is some deceiver or other, very powerful and very cunning, whoever employs his ingenuity in deceiving me. Then without doubt I exist also if he deceives me, and let him deceive me as much as he will. He can never cause me to be nothing so long as I think that I am something. so that after having reflected well and carefully examined all things, we must come to the definite conclusion that this proposition, I am, I exist, is necessarily true each time that I pronounce it or that I mentally conceive it. But I do not yet know clearly enough what I am, I who am certainly that I am, and hence I must be careful to see that I do not imprudently take some other object in place of myself, and thus that I do not go astray in respect of this knowledge that I hold to be the most certain and most evident of all that I have formerly learned. If you are like me, then you are in a constant state of existential crisis. Sucks to be you, sorry. But do read this book, as it is very accessible and you will have a great time reading it. Take it with a grain of salt though. It's fascinating, sure, but ultimately all you have is your experience. I first came across Rene Descartes and his method of doubt after I experienced a panic attack on a subway train. I entertained this idea that I might be profoundly alone. The train, the people around me, my loved ones, why the universe itself might just be concepts inside me, and the reality might very well be an illusion. I had no way to prove otherwise. I broke down. This led me on a life-altering and bizarre path. Then I was introduced to Rene Descartes, Method of Doubt, Solipsism, and David Hume, among plethora of other philosophies, concepts, and thinkers. That incident actually motivated me to start this YouTube channel, to start talking, to better express myself, my doubts and my problems. Maybe I'd find kindred spirits and I wouldn't feel profoundly alone. Even if I found kindred spirits, there's no way to know whether they're real or something I made up so as to not feel alone. But these days, I'm slowly starting to deal with this conundrum. I have come a long way from that panic attack all those years ago, only to realize this simple fact, that it doesn't matter, even if I don't know. Not knowing is okay. Lately, I have been focusing on the simple things. It's okay if it's not real, but coffee still smells incredible. It's okay if it's not real, but pizza is delicious. It's okay if it's not real, but traveling to faraway places feels magical. Maybe one day I will know for sure, but until then, I'm taking life one moment at a time and doing things that make me smile. Whether it's popping a bubble wrap, eating tacos, or saying I love you. So, read Meditations on First Philosophy, but take it with a grain of salt. What does your happiness look like? What is the one thing that you love so much that you don't care even if it's not real? It might be coffee, traveling, your spouse, or the beach, anything. Leave your comment below and let me know. The reality is one of my favorite things to discuss, so this won't be the last episode to discuss this topic. This episode is just the first in many to follow. I also have a Patreon page where you can support this channel by donating anywhere from just $1. It would support me in producing videos more frequently and in much higher quality. I sincerely thank all of my awesome Patreon supporters. If you like this episode and want to watch more, here's a link to an episode that I did on solipsism and my breakdown. As always, if you like what you saw, share and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified anytime I post a new episode. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.